All right. Countdown to 2023 March Madness episode. Nope. Yep. Do we do episodes or not? Whatever.
I
Number
don't
3.
know.
It's the third edition.
It's the number third one.
Third edition, number third. A little late on this one in terms of there are games that have started, and also Louisville was up early on Duke. That's starting to flip now. It's a 5-point lead for Duke. Plus, Cameron Indoor, if they lost to Louisville, I think they might just,
Louisville's back.
Yeah, 2-14 in the ACC, pretty good, looking sharp. And then you got the good game of the night, I would say, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, or at least the important one in terms of the bubble implications.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously, I don't know if it'll match up with the showdown that is Illinois and Minnesota tonight.
Didn't TCU play somebody good tonight?
Let me check.
At 8 o'clock.
Yeah, TCU and Kansas.
Yeah,
good game there. It's definitely. It's kind of what the
number one seed implications, right? Kansas.
I mean, Kansas has enough Q1s right now to be like,
Yeah, but in the 16 that came out Saturday, they were the fourth number one seed.
Were they fourth or third?
I think they were fourth. Alabama 1, Houston 2, Purdue 3, Kansas 4.
Okay, yeah, I didn't actually do it in order when I wrote it down. So, all right, headliners.
I'm looking at it right now. Don't worry.
Right. Headliners of the week. Let me just throw this one in there. Another number one. Bit the Dust, the hit Queen song, of course. Just put that right in there. How about that? Nailed it. Alabama loses to Tennessee, so now Houston is number one. I mean, the number one overall ranking is losing its luster this season with how many different teams are rotating in and out of it.
Yeah, and I don't know. It feels wrong for Houston to be the number one overall to me.
I mean, they are 25-2.
Yeah, but they
with a loss to Temple, which is bad, but the other loss was Alabama, and it was at home, which is not great.
Yeah,
but they've kind of just dominated everybody. And I know that the big thing with Houston is a lot of people are talking about, they're in the American Athletic Conference. Yeah, I know there's a lot of weak teams in that conference, and everyone's starting to compare them to Gonzaga. It's like, okay, Houston has 2 Final Fours in the Elite Eight in the last 10 years. And they also have the fact that they're moving to the Big 12. So, in the Big 12 without Kansas and Texas won't be as strong in basketball, but I don't think Kansas State's going anywhere. I don't think Baylor's going anywhere. I think TCU is going to continue to be good. I think Oklahoma State is in a good spot, West Virginia, and then I think Oklahoma, if Porter Moser stays, will eventually be good. So, despite the fact that the Big 12 is going to get a little bit weaker a few years from now, or it's Oklahoma and Texas, not Kansas and Texas. So Kansas is staying. What the hell am I talking about? Nice try. I just got confused with the whole fact that there's the 2 big football programs in the conference, the 2 big anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So still going to be good, but Texas is a big loss in both sports. Anyway, yeah, Houston's good,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they're not good. I just,
Who's next? UCLA? Could they get to number one? Are they next in the rotating? What are they right now? 3, 4?
UCLA's 8.
What?
That's what this says.
They haven't lost since January 26th, and they're 23-4.
I mean, I didn't make it.
Well, sucks.
Number 5 is Texas. Number 6 is Arizona. Number 7 is Baylor.
Oh my God.
Number 8 is UCLA. So,
yes,
I would say that Texas has the best chance, right? If they beat Kansas, and I don't know.
Poll sucks. Really does. I mean, Texas and Kansas don't play until the last game of the year. So that's kind of screwing them over.
Yeah. I mean, and to have Indiana as the top 4 seed is strange too, but who am I to judge these guys that know more than me?
Sure. I guarantee you watch more than 95% of the voters.
Probably.
Next one here, Kentucky sweeps Tennessee. Not really surprising that they beat them again. It's just the way that the season has been going. But you got freshmen leading the way for Kentucky. Chris Livingston starting to play well. Obviously, Cason Wallace is really good.
Yeah.
And Shibwe, I mean, is it the worst follow-up to a National Player of the Year season ever? It's just like the numbers are fine, but it just his defense is absolutely he is an absolute especially in the pick and roll, just worthless on the defensive end. Just completely worthless.
You think he just kind of like called in this? He's like, let me get my monies.
I mean, I don't know. Would it look like that for somebody like Kofi Coburn if he came back? As I wear the Illini thing, that's going to make me look unbiased.
I don't know. I don't know if Kofi would have came back.
I don't think Sheboy's mailing in. I just think he looks uncomfortable. He doesn't look right. I don't know if it's a chemistry thing with the guys around him, but him and Drew Timme are far and away the two worst pick and roll defenders in college basketball. It's not even close.
Yeah,
it's not even close. So I still have no belief in this Kentucky team, but I have a feeling they're going to get to the Sweet 16 at least, just because that's how this is all going to go.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's probably going to be a 9 seed. I don't think any 1 seed wants them in their bracket.
No, although I do think if Kentucky played Houston, they would get absolutely run out of the gym because Houston is just going to turn them over as much as they want, especially with Kentucky relying as much as they are on freshmen. And if you're not relying on freshmen at the guard position, you're relying on 5'9" Severe Wheeler, CJ Frederick, who's a good shooter, but that's about it, and Antonio Reeves, who's also a good shooter, but he came from Illinois State, and I don't know how is he going to be in the big game? I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, they're going to need Sheboy to have 30 and 20 when they face an actual elite team because they're going to need to be able to score in more than one way. And it's like Sheboy's numbers, like I said, they're not that bad. It's just it looks so much different. Like last year, he was rebounding at an unbelievable level, and this year,
how many rebounds did he average last year? Do you know?
Had to be like 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 or 17.
I say, you know how many he's averaging this year?
Like 12.
13. So
doesn't feel that way. Yeah, he averaged 15 last year, so it is less. I mean, he had 7 rebounds in a game where they beat Tennessee. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been having like the 15, 20 rebound games as much. He did have 24 against Georgia, but that was like really his signature game, 37 and 20.
He's definitely not like jumping off the page like he was last year.
He's having a lot more down games. Like he had 7 against Arkansas, 4 points. These are points. 4 points against Florida, 7 against Texas A&M. He wasn't really doing that at all last year. He had 3 games where he was healthy, where he had less than 10 points last season, and he's got a number of those this year. He's got 5 or 6 of them, and he did have an injury to start the season, so I don't know how much that has played into his play. Yeah, but it's the way that he's been playing in comparison to last year is a big red flag for how I feel about Kentucky going into the tournament. Like I said, though, given the way the season has gone, they'll probably make a deep run. So why not? Indiana beats Illinois at home. Illinois, of course, was without Terrence Shannon Jr., which, however big of a factor you think that played, I don't know. But the overall state of the Big Ten right now, I mean, you got Purdue, who beat Ohio State Sunday, which, I mean, that's a freebie, especially at home. And you have Northwestern, who's now 11-5 in the conference. You have Indiana up to 10-6. Then you have Maryland, Rutgers, Iowa, Michigan 9-7. Illinois a chance to get to 9-7 against Minnesota tonight. It's a cluster F, as they say. But I still think Purdue's probably going to win this conference. Northwestern, you would have to think whatever they have going on right now is going to slow down at some point. They do have 4 games left. I would make a bet that they finish 2-2.
Yeah, the Purdue, Indiana, Iowa, they were all home wins. See what happens when they go on the road. I think their schedule is pretty tough to finish.
Yeah, it's at Illinois, at Maryland, home against Penn State, at Rutgers. So 2 really hard road games, Maryland and Rutgers. Illinois, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a hard game in terms of the opponent, but the venue, much harder to play at the RAC or at Maryland.
Right. I think Lenardi has 9 teams in from the Big Ten right now.
Yeah. Well, I completely
a little much.
I've totally decided to stop paying attention to what Lunardi says.
Yeah.
It's whether it's the interests of ESPN or what, he's just not good. Like, he's not good at it. Like, you compare him to other bracketologists, he's not that good. So that's kind of where I'm at on him. I mean, Northwestern's best road win is probably Michigan State.
Yeah.
Which is fine. because their other road wins are Georgetown. Indiana, actually. I completely scrolled by that one. But that was early January Indiana, which was a completely different team than what they are now, to be fair. And there are other ones, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Nebraska road wins, which Nebraska, hard place to play, apparently. I mean, Maryland, Wisconsin, Penn State, Ohio State is not good. And Iowa, they beat all those teams in Nebraska.
Tominaga is on fire. He's got, what, over 20 in the last 5 or something?
I feel like he shouldn't be a hard player for Big Ten teams to be able to shut down. So it's kind of confusing why he's dropping 20 in every game. I mean, he's a small guard who I won't say lives and dies by the 3 because he only made 2 and had 20 yesterday. But, I mean, he's not going to be able to just go to the rim and score at his size. So I feel like a team that has slowed him down almost entirely is Iowa. He had 2 points against Iowa. They beat Iowa in that game, and he had 2 points. He did nothing against them. And he only played 13 minutes, but I will say this, it didn't feel like he did anything to Illinois either. Like, it didn't feel like he had a few threes in that second game against them and scored a few buckets in the first game. And on the offensive end, if Illinois was paying attention to him, he wasn't going to score.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
and you look at the Big Ten, and not even Bracket Dom had 9 going into Saturday. Only 2 teams above a 5 seed, and that would be Indiana at 5, and of course Purdue at a 1. Everybody else is 6 or worse.
Who's like do they still have Wisconsin in? Is that the deal?
He has Wisconsin in a play-in game.
So that means so that's 9 out of what, 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Minnesota, Ohio State, Nebraska, Penn State, Michigan are the ones out?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan is 9-7 in the Big Ten. It's just
But they're what, 14?
yeah, they have so many. They have
11,
12 losses overall.
15 and 11?
Five non-conference losses. It's going to be tough for them.
I mean, I from everything I've seen, people don't even have Michigan in like the top 8. So they would have to win out and then win a couple in the tournament. In the Big Ten tournament, I would think.
Well, they got three huge road opportunities to finish with Rutgers, Illinois, and Indiana.
Yeah,
and then home against Wisconsin, you win that. It would be hard to keep them out if they were to go 13-7 in the Big Ten and 19-12.
Yeah, and that's how quickly things can change. You know, Northwestern was sitting on the bubble, and now they are a 6 seed by most guys, 5 or 6.
But there's other teams, such as the one that is on my pullover here, that just doesn't move at all because they fluctuate a lot in terms of their wins and losses, and they have a good resume. So
yeah,
they haven't really moved much. Like the highest they were in the last 3 months is what, like a 4, and then now they're sitting 7, 8, 9. I mean, they're not going to move much higher than that, just because of all the mediocre teams around them. So, unless they lose tonight, which I mean, hey, it's not impossible.
Then they're in the NIT.
Certainly. Looks like UConn might be figuring it out. Again, they've won 4 or 5. One of their one loss in that stretch was at Creighton. This is a UConn team 20-7 now. They've been in the AP top 25 this entire time.
Yeah. I saw on ESPN last night that UConn has a 20% chance to be a 1 seed right now still, and Purdue has a 22% chance to be a 1 seed.
Interesting. I mean, UConn would have to win out, go 24-7.
Yeah.
13-7 overall, which is, I mean, your 7 losses are all in the Big East to Xavier, tournament team, Providence, tournament team, Marquette, tournament team, St. John's, not a tournament team, Seton Hall, probably not, Xavier and Creighton, both tournament teams. So only one bad loss. I don't think Seton Hall on the road's a bad loss, but St. John's at home, that's a bad loss.
Yeah.
But you look at their other wins, especially out of conference, like they killed Alabama, they killed Iowa State, killed Florida, who's not very good, but still killed them. Beat Creighton already once, beat Marquette by 15. They got a chance to take down Providence, and if they can beat Providence, they got 3 against St. John's, DePaul, Villanova. So very good chance to go 24-7, and I could see this team in that type of environment in the Big East tournament. They could win that. Like, I think that I would make them the favorite
Yeah.
So
And somebody, I think maybe Goodman, somebody shared it that Providence, the farthest they have to travel into the tournament, like until the tournament, I think even first round of the tournament would be to Pennsylvania is the farthest trip they have to make. So that always helps.
yep. Yeah, so that would put if Villanova or if Connecticut, if UConn was to do that, I mean, it is the same thing.
It is.
Ken Baum says Connecticut. That's why I did that. If UConn wins out in the regular season, then wins the Big East tournament, that puts them at what 27-7. I think they're probably a 1 seed with those wins.
It'd be hard to not make them a 1 seed if they.
But it's weird for a team that has 7 losses in their conference to be a 1 seed. That's the weird part. Like you need like maybe 5 at the most, I would think. But like Marquette's 13-3 in the conference. It's just Marquette doesn't have the Alabama win on the resume. They don't have the Iowa State win. They have the Baylor win.
Yeah.
In terms of non-conference, but that's at home, a little bit different. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting, folks. Very interesting. Very nice. All right. Let's see. Texas 10-4 in the Big 12. Split week against Texas Tech, who might be on the bubble now. Who knows? We don't know. Maybe working their way back. I mean, everybody in the Big 12 is somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they beat Oklahoma. And my question is Serge Jabari Rice the best sixth man in America? Big question here.
I would have to say, yeah. I mean, give me other guys that would compete with that.
The problem is that there aren't any names that come to the head, which usually tells you that yes, he would be.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he scored 24 against Oklahoma, 24 against West Virginia, 12 against Kansas, 14 against K-State, 21 against Baylor, 21 against Tennessee. And he's coming off the bench. And he is you talk about efficiency, not bad at all. 56% from inside the arc, 37% from three. And the biggest part of it all is that he got away from that absolute disaster that is New Mexico State, who is pretty much done for the season given everything that's happened with that program. And just an absolute disaster in the first year for Greg Heiar. He already got fired. He's out. What a weird situation in New Mexico State.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to the second round of the tournament last year with Chris Jans there, who went to Mississippi State. And then the next year, they're done after 24 games because of the disastrous stuff inside the program and then the whole shooting thing outside of the program. So not good in Las Cruces. Quite a difference between New Mexico State and New Mexico this year, certainly. Anyway, Serge Jabari Rice. Congrats on getting away from New Mexico State. I'll tell you that.
Good choice.
Yeah, let's get a little ACC action here. North Carolina blows it late at NC State. They lose 77-69. North Carolina there will be amongst the people that watch college basketball all year and love it and watch it a lot. There will be some sort of uprising if North Carolina gets into the tournament with 0 Q1s.
Yeah. It makes me question, though. Do you think that going 0-9 in quad 1 and undefeated in quad 2 is better than going 1-8 and then say 4-2 in quad 2? What do you think is better?
The quad 1 win is better.
Just that one win is better than going 6-0 in quad 2.
I think it depends on who you lose to in quad 2, but yeah.
Okay. Because that's kind of where people are at. They're, if you put them together and you say that they're 6-15 or whatever in quad 1 and quad 2, does it look as bad as 0-9 in quad 1?
That's true. You also have to think about this, like North Carolina. Can we really blame people can we really blame the voters for having them preseason number 1? I mean,
no, I don't think you can. I mean, they weren't good all year. They made a great run in the tournament. After they
kept everybody
ruined Coach K's life,
which was awesome. Yeah,
and then they make that run. I don't know how you don't. They had everybody back, right? They traded Manick, to Europe for Pete Nance.
Yeah.
So
Now, to be fair, I'm not dumb enough to have him number 1. I had him number 3, just so we're on the record with that. I
Right.
had them number 3. My number 1 was Houston, which I thought made sense given the runs that Houston had made, especially since they made to the Elite Eight last season without Marcus Sasser, and he's back. And they got Jarace Walker, who's a 5-star freshman. And you know how the system that they run at Houston and all the different things that they do with the size and the athleticism and the defense. So I always thought they were a clear number 1. I did have Gonzaga 2 with what they were bringing back. Obviously, they haven't been as good, but they're starting to figure out they're still a very good team. And I had North Carolina 3. I did have Creighton 4, which isn't great.
Yeah.
But other than that, Villanova 12 is a disaster. Texas Tech in there as well. Duke, a lot of disastrous picks for me in the preseason top 25, but it happens every year.
I mean, you look at their, record last year. They were 15-5 at least in the conference. Right now they're sitting at 8-8. And people were bubble talking last year. So I think if they get in, it's because it's North Carolina, personally. But
I think the biggest difference for them, and it's easy to say this given the modern game, but their 3-point percentage this season is way lower than it was last season.
yeah,
Way lower. 35.8 last season, 60th in America. This season, they are at 30.6, 332nd in the country.
yeah.
So their 3-point shooting is tanked.
It seems like Davis and Love have so many threes where they're, somebody is on them. It's not like they're moving the ball and getting open. It's step backs and
It's
contested
NBA
threes.
stuff.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It
Caleb
is.
Love, if your backcourt's 31%, 33%, that's not great. Plus Pete Nance, I bet they wish they had Matthew Meyer right now to knock down the 3 because he's at 29%. Leaky Black is a terrible shooter, 32%, which is a shocker. Baycott's 0 for 7. God knows why he's taking 7 threes. So, and they don't really have a bench. Like, what's their bench presence? Like, Seth Trimble's fine. Puff Johnson is fine. But those guys aren't like, they don't really have like a 6th man that you can really rely on to come in and.
Yeah. And
I
I
think
think that
teams
they,
need
I
that.
think they thought Puff Johnson was going to make a bigger jump this year than what he did too. Because he played really well in the tournament last year. What do you think North Carolina has to do to get in? They played at Notre Dame, Virginia. They have at home at Florida State. So you think Notre Dame, Florida State? There's 2 wins, and then they played Duke at home. They're at home against Duke.
Well, I don't know what Duke is in the Nets. I don't know if that's a Q1, but I have to assume Virginia's a Q1. So if you can get 2 quad
assume.
1s to finish the year, then they'll be fine. But
Right.
they literally have to go 3-1.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt. That's to even be on the bubble and have a real chance.
Right.
Like, this team's 5-11 in the first 2 quads. Like, that's disgusting. And 0 of those 5 are in quad 1.
Yeah.
The easy way to view this team is a mediocre team for 90% of the last 2 seasons with a Final Four run. So that's kind of the definition of being able to get hot.
Yeah. What's Notre Dame's net right now?
Can't be good.
I wouldn't think it would be, but
It's got to be in the hundreds.
I don't know how to do this stuff. This isn't my forte. This is you.
Notre Dame is 194th in the net.
Okay, so they have 2 quad 1 opportunities, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
Duke is 26, so that's top 30. Virginia's 16, so that's top 30. And they're both at home. So there's your chance right there.
Hey, tell me this though. If they beat Duke at home, would Duke fall out of a quad 1?
I think it depends on how Duke finishes the year. They're going to beat Louisville, which could move them up for no reason. Beat Virginia Tech, beat NC State.
Yeah.
They got 3 home games going into that. They could get into the 21-22 range with 3 straight wins, especially since NC State for Duke is a quad 2 win, but it's close to a quad 1. So then I also have Jeff Capel's comments, the head coach of Pitt. Thinks that the ACC is undervalued or underrated or something. Quote,
Is this Jim Boeheim?
Yeah, quote, I really don't understand it. Oh, sorry. I don't really understand it. To be completely honest with you, there's a comma there that I just completely ruined the tone of that quote. He also pointed to the success in the tournament the NBA draft, which who gives a shit, and the ACC Big Ten Challenge, also who gives a shit. It's November.
Right.
He criticized ACC Network for feeding into perception that the league is down. Says Big Ten Network is, quote, always pumping the league up. It's hard for me to look at the ACC and think that it's like underrated. I mean, Notre Dame and Louisville and Georgia Tech are historically bad.
Yeah.
Florida State too. Virginia Tech is a team that has a bunch of white guys that can shoot threes, but most of the time they suck. Boston College is terrible offensively. North Carolina has been mediocre for, like I said, 90% of the last 2 seasons with a Final Four run. Syracuse is garbage. I don't care about the fact that Syracuse is 9-7 in the ACC should invalidate their league because that is not a good team. Wake Forest doesn't play any defense. Duke has a boatload of talent with a 10-6 record in a mediocre conference. NC State is a fun team to watch. I already know I like them too much, and I know I'm going to fall into the trap of picking them to go to like the Elite Eight and think that I'm smart. That'll be a disaster. Let's not pretend that Clemson and Pitt are really that good. Miami is a very good offensive team with a lot of high-end talent, and Virginia is good, but they're not that great. Virginia is not even close to what I thought they would be given the way they started the year. So I don't think the ACC is underrated at all. Ken Pom has the 7th best conference in the country out of 32, which means the Mountain West is ahead of them, which I don't know if the bottom of the ACC is worse than the Mountain West. I mean, I do think there's a couple teams like Louisville and Notre Dame and Florida State that are probably worse than a couple, but I find it hard to believe that these coaches are like truly believe that this conference is good or like great or whatever they think. I don't see it.
I mean, that's coach speak, as you like to say. So, I mean,
yeah, but
it's what you do. You talk. I mean, you listen to Brad Underwood, the greatest conference in college. So,
but like this is
what
like
you do.
Because they've had success in the NCAA tournament, which is like 2 weeks of the season, which is good. You need that, but you got to play an entire season to look good. Like when was the ACC hasn't had like a truly like dominant team. I mean, Duke was really good last year, but they weren't dominant. They haven't had a dominant team since Virginia in 19 probably.
Yeah.
And also North Carolina and Duke were very good that year. The ACC hasn't had a dominant season since 2018-19. They had 3 1 seeds. That was the last time. It's been downhill since then. 2020, they were the 4th conference on Ken Pom out of 32. They were 5th in 2021, 5th last year. Now they're 7th this year. So they're going downhill. And I think a lot of that is the bottom of the conference is just so bad. Like the bottom of the ACC is worse than any of the other Power Sixes, I think. Because, I mean, Cal is probably the worst team out of everybody in the Power Six.
Yeah.
But the ACC has 4 bad ones. The Pac-12 has 2. The Big Ten has, I mean, probably 1. Like, I don't think Minnesota – I think Minnesota's the only – like, I think Nebraska's pretty good for their record. And Ohio State is not as bad as those other bottom feeders. It's true.
You're going to die on that Ohio State.
Ohio State is not as bad as Louisville. That's what I'm talking about here. LSU 1-13. That's a tough scene for the SEC, but that's really them and Ole Miss and South Carolina are the 3 really bad teams in that conference.
Yeah.
And then you have, let's see, the Big 12 doesn't have any like really bad teams, and the Big East has Georgetown and DePaul and Butler, kind of. So, hey Jeff Capel, your conference sucks ass. All right. Over to the bubble. Texas A&M big road win at Missouri. Missouri, they are lucky they have some key wins because their metrics do not help them at all, folks. Missouri's metrics are on par with some schools that you don't want to be on par with, I would say. Just to give you an idea, the teams around Missouri in metrics, Ohio State, Washington State is 2 spots ahead of them. Washington State's 13-15, 16-12 bubble Seton Hall. Not even on the bubble, probably outside of the bubble. Some bad teams in that company. So Missouri's lucky there. Clemson lost to Louisville and Michigan beat Michigan State. And then I have also this graphic here, which has some incorrect numbers, I think, but close enough. If the people out there can, let's see if I can, whoa, there we go. That was cool. I just clicked it. I didn't
Pull
even
that
know it was
up.
going to zoom.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. So there you go.
Oklahoma State's currently losing right now.
40 to
West
21 at the half. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, well, you look at strength of schedule is where the Big 12 is king. Look at the two teams in this row that are in the Big 10 or the Big 12. West Virginia 5th in adjusted strength schedule, Oklahoma State 8th. Wisconsin being 11th is probably the one thing helping them because they only have 15 wins.
Yeah.
Arizona State metrics aren't going to help them, obviously 67th. As you can see here, whoop, there we go. Michigan 7 wins between quad 1 and 2. That's better than North Carolina. It's better than Penn State in terms of the win total. That's better than Clemson. It's better than New Mexico. So kind of surprised to see the fact that the teams that are in, according to this is projectionsports.com, and I said that with a New York accent there for no reason. They say Memphis is in, West Virginia in, Mississippi State in, USC in, Oklahoma State in, Utah State in. Thoughts?
I mean, do guys on the bubble need to win games to stay on the bubble? Because Memphis lost, Oklahoma State's going to lose. This is the first that I've seen USC that's in, but you know, I'm not doubting it. I don't see how Wisconsin gets in. I really don't. And according to this, they're the first out. So, yeah, the bubble is just goofy this year. I don't know.
You want to know how Wisconsin gets in? Beat Iowa, win at Michigan, beat Purdue, win at Minnesota, win 2 Big Ten tournament games. Boom, easy. They could probably do less and get in, honestly.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure.
Did you see Utah State and Nevada game from Saturday?
Did not see
Nevada started up 30-12, and Will Baker for them, their big man center, had their first 21 points. He was, I believe, like 6 for 6 from the field and 5 for 5 from 3 or something to start the game. And then they ended up losing to Utah State by 9, and he only had 25 points. He had 21 points in the first 5 minutes. And then, yeah, so that's a Utah State win right there that helps them against a Nevada team that's definitely in the tournament, no doubt. Indiana legend Steve Alford coaching them.
no doubt.
No doubt. Yeah, I hate the bubble, honestly. I really do. It's so annoying. So many teams out there that it's just like, God.
Can't wait for Illinois to lose tonight so we can talk about it.
Get on the bubble.
The Bubs. All right.
Bracketologically, nothing to discuss. We've all seen enough of that garbage. This is kind of a week to not discuss it because there's not enough changes.
I agree.
I think what we discussed here is the committee initial top 16.
Yeah.
Which, interesting, certainly. I don't know how much of a bearing, if you compare the last few years of them doing it to what the, seeds actually ended up being, I think there's some differences of opinion with people every year with this. But I'm going to go region by region here. The number 1 overall seed was Alabama in the South region. The 2 seed in that region was Baylor, 3 seed Virginia, 4 seed Indiana, which Indiana is the one there that's drawing a lot of attention in terms of should they really be a 4?
Yeah.
Which I say probably not. I think 5 is more.
I think the thing that is kind of people are questioning is the top 4 seed. Like people yeah. From what I've seen, people say, I could see them being the last 4 seed, but not the top 4 seed.
I can't see either.
That's fair. I mean, a lot of people have them at 5, so I could see how people would say, yeah, I could see them at 16, but
they're 10-6 in the Big Ten. They've done plenty of damage, but also almost all of their damage has been at home. Other than beating Illinois, their other road wins are Michigan, who's not very good, and Minnesota, who had 4 guys in that game. All of their other damage has been at home.
It seems like they're riding this. Indiana was supposed to be a Final Four team, so
yeah,
and it looks like they've turned a corner, but
they're 100% losing to Michigan State tomorrow, like 100%. And also, let's be honest, they shouldn't have beaten Illinois, whether you look at the pullover or not. I mean, they shouldn't have won that game. I mean, let's be real here.
Right.
If RJ Melendez could make a shot, get to overtime, and when you're playing inspired without one of your top guys, you win in overtime. We saw it at Indiana 2 years ago.
Yep.
With Io Dosumu being fouling out.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Illinois beat Michigan by 23 2 years ago on the road without Io. So let's all relax, people. Anyway, of course, there were no fans in the stands like either of those games. So what the hell does it even matter? But yeah, the Big Ten sucks. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
The Midwest region: Houston, the 1 seed; Texas, the 2 seed; Tennessee, the 3 seed; Xavier, the 4 seed. Tennessee sucks. Is my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's okay. For the team that's number 3 in the net, and they give them the number 9 overall.
Yeah, I mean that's also them saying, "Hey, our metrics, our net rankings suck."
Yeah, kind of shows what they really think. So
let's also toss this out there. Tennessee lost in round 2 to Michigan last year. They will lose in round 2 again. By the way, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
Because last year they had a legitimate guy that you could go to get points late when you need Kennedy Chandler. He's gone, and they pretty much have the same group with a couple of other additions. They're not getting to the second weekend. I would almost guarantee that. The West: Kansas, Arizona, Kansas State, Gonzaga. I would say that this might be the best of the 4 overall.
Yeah.
Kansas and Arizona, I think, are better than any of the other. I think the only other comparison is probably Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
In terms of strength.
I don't see Kansas staying at the 4 overall. They're just better than that. I mean, Baylor, was dominating them, and then Kansas wins by 15. So, yeah. I just think Kansas should be up there. Of course, I think they'll jump over Purdue, but we'll see.
The East is Purdue 1, UCLA is a 2, Iowa State is a 3, Marquette is a 4. How would you rank these 4 in terms of goodness, really?
Goodness. UCLA, Iowa State, Purdue, Marquette.
You think Purdue's the 3rd best team in that region?
What do you think they are?
2nd.
To who? UCLA?
Purdue, UCLA, Purdue, Marquette, Iowa State. I would take Marquette over Iowa State 100 times out of 100. Way, way better.
I mean, I've been very adamant, and I think Purdue's the weakest 1 seed sitting. So,
well, you're a hater.
I'm not hating. I'm just like I like what Edey's done and how good. I mean, he'd be my center if I built a team. What do you mean, hater?
So I'd pretty unanimously say the West is the strongest of the 4. I'd say the Midwest is probably 2nd. I don't know about 3rd and 4th. I think probably the South is 3rd just because of Alabama and Baylor is good and
Virginia's good.
I don't know how good Virginia is, honestly. I'm starting to kind of have some doubts there. And maybe it's just because I'm very much on the train of the ACC is mediocre.
You're just a hater. I got it.
Fair. And I really do love UCLA. But I would probably say West 1, Midwest 2, South 3, East 4. But it's kind of hard to figure out 3 and 4. I think 1 and 2 is easy. I think Houston and Texas and Xavier. And then I would just skip over the 3 seeds in the regions and be like Kansas, Arizona, Gonzaga. That's all you need. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at on that one, really. I wonder how many 1 seeds have stayed 1 seeds from the committee's top 16 to the final thing.
When did they start this? 3 years ago? 4 years? How long has this been?
I feel like they did it on the year where there wasn't a tournament.
Okay. 3 years ago?
Sure.
4 years ago. I don't know.
Yep. All right. Team of the week.
I'm going to count last Sunday and go with Northwestern. Well, we didn't do this last week, so
cheating.
It's kind of your fault. So I'm going to go with Northwestern beating Purdue, beating Indiana, and then throttling Iowa last night. So, of course, all 3 games were at home. But like I mentioned earlier, Northwestern was a bubble team, and now people got them as a 6 seed. So
they should also be kicked. Like they should not be allowed in the tournament.
And Boo Buie is big first team All Big Ten.
Yep. They should ban Northwestern from the tournament because them getting COVID and getting to take a billion days off and then getting 3 home games in a row is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Come on. Where's the
I
common
agree.
sense? They
I
should be
agree.
banned. They did get Fran kicked out last night, which was great.
Fran, I mean, he earned that, and that was a BS call. So
It was. But if people think Brad Underwood embarrasses himself, look at that dweeb.
that's true.
And
That's
look
true.
at Chris Collins. Chris Collins coaches like a buffoon when they're
Do
losing.
you think Chris Collins made a comment about how they shouldn't make fun of Fran? Because I think they started the chant "Where's your daddy?" or something like that. But he was very upset when they were saying "F you, Miller Cop" or whatever they were saying. So, you think he was mad about that? I doubt
Who cares? Fran's a loser.
it. Fair.
My team is Kentucky. Ho! Getting some wins when you need them.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, say what you will about them. They're probably a tournament team that's a win on the road. Beat them on the road, and they beat Tennessee again. They're 9-5 in the SEC now. I still don't think this team is that good, but they've been getting wins when they need them down the stretch. That's when you need to win, especially on the road. Against a Mississippi State team, like I said, probably a tournament team, but also an elite defensive team, the 5th adjusted defensive efficiency on KenPom, and Kentucky scored 71 against them, which is something that doesn't happen often. They allowed 64 to Arkansas, 53 to LSU, 52 to Missouri, which is hard to do, 51 to South Carolina, 74 to TCU. But other than that, Kentucky found a way to score on them. I think the big factor in that was the fact that they got double figures from 4 guys. Reeves had 14. Livingston had 13. Sheboy had 18. Toppin had 16. And if you can win on the road against a decent Mississippi State team, who has better metrics than Kentucky, by the way, with Case and Wallace going 1 for 13 from the field and having 4 points, he had 11 assists, though, so that kind of makes up for it. So I think if they can figure out how to play that, the starting 5 that Kentucky has right now, much improved from what it was. You have Wallace and Livingston starting, 2 freshmen. Toppin, who very much a Coleman Hawkins type player in the sense that it's so weird game to game and you never know what he's going to do. I think Hawkins is a bit more of a talent in terms of the NBA, of course. Obviously Coleman Hawkins lottery pick. Antonio Reeves also starting, and then Sheboy at the 5. So I think injuries definitely play a factor. Severe Wheeler, CJ Frederick didn't play in that game or the previous game. So they got a fellow named Adu Tharu coming off the bench. Adu Thyro. Yeah, how about that? All right.
I like Theroux better, but okay.
I think it's Thero. I don't know. CBS announcer Therodidis. Spirodidis is what it is. Anyway.
Okay.
Jesus, let's get this over with. All right, player of the week.
Player of the week. I'm going with Jalen Pickett of Penn State.
Cop out. Big Ten bias.
Dominated Illinois with 41 points, 8 assists, 1 steal. And they not only did he dominate, he shot 75% from the field, 55% from 3, and was perfect from the line. And then he went into, or little Minnesota came to them. I'm not really sure which. And 32 points against them. So, 73 points over 2 games. I'd say that's pretty good. He also had 8 assists, 9 rebounds in this game. He shot 55% from the field in that game and 50% from 3. So Jalen Pickett, who isn't really known for his 3-point shooting, shot 52.5% over 2 games from 3. So All-American in my eyes. I know you've been all over it all year, but I agree. So thanks for letting me take him, by the way.
I mean, you double dip the Big Ten. That should be illegal.
Just wait till you see my upsets of the week.
Oh, great.
All Big Ten.
I am going to venture to a conference that is maybe off the reserve.
Oh, the MEAC.
What people are thinking about when they think about players of the week. I'm going to take you out to the Atlantic Sun, where Darius McGee, they didn't even win both games, but I was just like, can't find anybody else. What the hell? And they're a pretty good team. They're 13-3 in the conference. I'm going to take Darius McGee. Had 27 points on 7 of 13 shooting, 8 for 8 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist against Jacksonville State. And then against Kennesaw State, who is, I believe, 3rd or 4th in the conference. Or actually, they're tied for 1st. They did lose that game. This game, he had 43 points, 13 for 25 shooting, 9 for 10 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds. And also, let's think about this. He's 5'9". So
This guy's insane.
he puts up huge numbers. And he's also in his
22.
5th year.
22 points a game. Wow.
Well,
This
he's
guy-
also
this guy's insane.
he's
What
also
team did you say he played for? Because I don't even think you said.
Liberty. I said it.
Thank you.
He's 5'9", like I said, which is impressive, no matter what level you're playing at.
Yeah.
And he's in his 5th season, and he just scores a ton. And he's been doing it like he had. You look at in the conference tournament last year, he had 26, then 21. The conference tournament the year before that, he had 21 in the game. NCAA tournament, he had 12 against Oklahoma State a couple years ago. Big scorer, small size, just quality scorer, and
Impressive.
been doing it forever. I mean, he's shooting 40% from 3 this year, which is higher than he's ever shot. So,
Has he always played at Liberty?
yep, 5th year at Liberty.
Good for him.
Boo
Way
boo.
way to stay around.
He's 5'9". Where the hell's he going? Let's be honest.
Not sure.
And he's not Severe Wheeler, who did start at Georgia, even though he's 5'9". A little bit of a different jump. All right, games of the week. I'm just going to get through this as quickly as possible. Games already started tonight. So Oklahoma State at West Virginia is going on. West Virginia is up 18, and Duke is up 12 in the second half against Louisville. That wasn't even a game of the week. I just said it. The other one is Kansas at TCU. That's
I get it.
yeah, in 40 minutes. ESPN. So yeah, moving on. Tuesday, 6 o'clock Central window. Tennessee at Texas A&M, Miami at Virginia Tech, Mississippi State at Missouri, and Baylor at Kansas State. 7:30 p.m. Central, Marquette at Creighton. 8 o'clock, you have Iowa State at Texas, and then I put 8 p.m. Longhorn Network LOL. So can't watch that. Sick.
This is going on
Indiana-
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, Indiana at Michigan State, 8 o'clock, ESPN, whatever. Wednesday, this is the worst Wednesday of the season. I mean, all you have is Providence at UConn and Kentucky at Florida. Like, nothing else is worth watching. And Thursday, a little bit more than usual, I'd say, slightly. Penn State at Ohio State, USC at Colorado, Northwestern at Illinois,
Talk
Washington
about
State at
Big
Stanford.
Ten bias. Who cares about Penn State, Ohio State?
Penn State needs to win, and it would be a Q2 or a Q1. What do you mean? What are you, high? UCLA at Utah. Friday, Xavier at Seton Hall. Marshall at Old Dominion. Saturday, TCU at Texas Tech. Michigan State at Iowa. Creighton at Villanova. UConn at St. John's. Oklahoma at Iowa State. Clemson at NC State. That's all 11 a.m. window. So hopefully the people out there have a lot of TVs. All 0 viewers right now. Missouri at Georgia at noon.
We're
Then you have
hitting our average.
Yep. Arkansas at Alabama, Texas at Baylor. We get a lot of people after the fact. They like to
Yeah,
listen.
no, I get it.
Kansas State,
we,
Oklahoma State.
we should probably just do these non-live.
Probably true. I mean, we have record numbers in the listens this year after
Yeah.
the fact. So
Yeah.
something to think about. Auburn at Kentucky, Virginia at North Carolina, Florida at Vanderbilt, Boise State at San Jose State. Jesus, I'm having a stroke here. Indiana at Purdue, Virginia Tech. It's a lot to read. Virginia Tech at Duke, St. Mary's at Gonzaga, San Diego State, New Mexico. God kill me. Sunday, Illinois at Ohio State. This is like the 4th week in a row with a Sunday with Ohio State. What are we doing?
I don't know.
Why is Ohio State on CBS every week? Jesus.
Because some people thought they were going to be really good this year.
I did too, but
You think Ohio State has some contract with CBS? I mean, with football and
no,
stuff?
I just think they got unlucky.
Okay.
I mean, Big Ten football is never on CBS, so
Okay. I
wouldn't
don't
have
know.
anything to do with that. I mean,
I
they're always
tried.
on Fox.
I tried.
Northwestern at Maryland, and then you got 2 more CBS games on Sunday. Wisconsin at Michigan, another beauty. Cincinnati at Memphis, and then UCLA. Like, these games suck. UCLA at Colorado. What? We get to watch UCLA win by 55 points? I mean, what are we doing here? Drake at Bradley, probably the best game of the day on Sunday on ESPN2. There's always that sneaky Missouri Valley game on a Sunday afternoon. Always sneaks in. Usually it involves Loyola Chicago. They are now in a different conference, and they are horrific. they're really bad. Like
Yeah.
Loyola Chicago, how the mighty have fallen, my friends. I don't even think Porter Moser could get anything out of this group this year. So,
Fair.
what conference are they in now? They're somewhere, right?
Yeah, Atlantic 10.
Yeah, and they're 9-17.
I don't know.
And
Is that right? I was just
3-11 in the conference. They're not. They are in the Atlantic 10. Yeah,
I was complete. Throw a dart at a dartboard.
that was a good one. I mean, that was
Thank
right in the money.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
Moving along.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rutgers at Penn State. Is that good for you?
That's better than
Penn State needs a road win. They're on the bubble. Jalen Pickett
They're
versus,
not on the bubble. They're the 10th team in right now.
They were on the bubble when I showed the thing.
Yeah,
and also Jalen Pickett versus Bryce Sensabaugh. You don't want to watch that? What, do you not like ball?
Yeah, I love ball.
All right. 3 upset picks of the week. I went 1-2 again last week. I'm 2-4.
I went 1-2 again. I am 3-3. What? 3-3?
Sure.
Yeah, I got Maryland over Purdue. I think we both picked that, right?
Yep.
I had Baylor beating Kansas. That didn't happen. And then I had
Almost.
Illinois beating Indiana. That almost happened too. So I was almost 3-0.
I had Oklahoma State over Kansas. No. Maryland over Purdue. Nailed it. Syracuse over Duke. Why did I ever think that Boeheim would get a win?
I don't know. Mine are pretty stupid this week, though, so bear with me. I got Illinois at home versus Northwestern. Illinois will probably be a favorite in that game, so probably shouldn't count as an upset. But Illinois, I'm going to pick Illinois every week.
Great.
Illinois over Northwestern. Northwestern ranked 21. Northwestern Barstool wants to know where Illinois is ranked instead of worrying about themselves, which is always cute to see. Little
Very
brother.
Weird. Very weird.
My next one is going to be Baylor at K-State. I know Baylor's ranked higher, but I'm sure they're going to be an underdog in this game. So I'm going to take Baylor at K-State. And then my last one you're really going to love. Curbelo comes back. St. John's beats UConn.
St. John's is not sweeping UConn. I got Iowa State over Texas. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pick Colorado to win a game this week. They got USC and UCLA. I'm taking Colorado over USC.
Yeah.
And then why not pick against Duke on a Saturday again? I'll take Virginia Tech over Duke. This is at Cameron Indoor, so going to be tough. But I think Virginia Tech can bomb them from 3.
You've picked Duke to get upset 3 weeks in a row.
So what?
It hasn't worked.
It's going to work this time.
Okay.
It's like how I pick Davis Riley to win a golf tournament every week. It's probably never going to happen, but I'm going to keep doing it. So, all right. Shortest show in the history of the show.
I mean,
executed perfectly. Plenty of time before the game.
7 minutes. So
pretty spot on. All right. We'll be back next week. I think we have conference tournaments starting very soon.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we got like 3 weeks left until March Madness. Do
conference tournaments start next week? I think they do.
I'm sure they do. I don't know.
Because there's conferences with 2 games left in the regular season. So
yeah.
We'll be talking some conference tournaments next week. Maybe make some picks, I suppose.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure I write that down. Let me write that down right now before we
Everybody wants to know who I think is going to win the MEAC. So
I think people are clamoring for that. Yes.
That's right.
I think people, that's probably one of the first things they think about when they get up.
Yep.
During the day.
Wonder who Tyler Bramley thinks is going to win the MEAC this year.
I'm sure you're like 100% accurate too.
I don't think I've ever lost the MEAC tournament champion.
People have said that. All right. We'll be back next Monday for number 4, conference tournament talk, plus more. Maybe get a little bit more into the brackets next week. Maybe there'll be some more movement, especially on the bubble, the bubble is stupid, but there's a lot of games Saturday with tournament seeding implications. So we'll be back next Monday.